I'm not being dismissive because inflation is really, really bad right now, and that's the main thing that economists are afraid of because they have pumped so much money into our economy with this stimulus that we are really like on the verge of inflation, and so there are theories about how inflation will affect us. It might drive us into another recession, or if prices go up and people aren't working, it could cause havoc in our economic system. So this is a serious problem. But within my comment and my reply to both of those people on Public Internet Conversation, money creation was my solution because as long as governments create money, I mean, when the government announces a new spending plan, when they sign executive orders, they don't finance it. They ask, how are you going to pay for it? But they don't finance it right there. They print the money. They get it from the Treasury. And when banks write you a loan, yes, they get the money from the Treasury, but they can only loan as much money as they have with reserves and fractional lending and all of that. But they create money. They give you control of an asset for 10% of paying 10% up front. And so that's my thing. If that's how the government play, if that's how businesses are going to play this, then I'm going to get my credit right. I'm going to get my savings right. I'm going to get my investments right, and I plan to live my life in the way that banks and governments do. You don't have to worry about inflation when you print money. They're going to print the money, and they're going to give me today's dollar when I get it. And I'm not going to leave that money sitting around to depreciate. But that was why I said that I woke up and chose violence, because just the way I think and see things sometimes, and the financial world, it's part science, but it's part number crunches. So if you can crunch the numbers right and make it work, then like I said, you're doing the same thing that the governments and the banks do. The government can print money. The Federal Reserve can print money. They don't need your tax dollars. They take it because they need to take that money out of the economy, because if all the government does is print money, then we're going to be standing around swimming in money. And then that's the same thing with too many jobs. If we raise minimum wage, the question is, what happened when everybody has money? Well, if everybody has money, demand for products goes up. And if there's supply and demand. And if everybody is demanding products and buying things, everybody's buying new trucks, everybody's buying new houses. First of all, we have to keep up with that demand. We need to have people working, and taxes is an incentive to have people working. And when the government tax you, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not making $10 now. I'm making, they charge me 10% of that, so now I'm making $9. So taxes incentivize people to work, but also the government is kind of incentivized to keep rates low, keep employment below full, and really to find ways to force people to work. And that's a lot of that is showing right now, because when you say, why is the economy so messed up? Why is it so broken? Why don't people want to go back to work? Because people got a little bit of money, and now, starving people or threatening people for their livelihood isn't working. Like, they're trying to bring in workers by, starving us. And they starve us with low wages. They starve us with these healthcare charges that everybody have to pay. They taking taxes out your paycheck. Now we have to pay for our retirement. We have to pay for our employment. And it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I'm just telling you how the cards are stacked against you to motivate you to create your own business. The cards are stacked against you to motivate you to go get a job, because the government has to take some of that money supply out. If the government says we're going to give out $10 trillion, if they throw that $10 trillion at everybody, yeah, we all run around with our stimmies. We buying stuff. Economy is doing real good, but nobody's working. That's not sustainable. They hand out all this money. We got money in our savings account. We got money in our pocket. Stores are open, but ain't nobody available to work. There is nobody there to cook that burger. So everybody got money. Who cooking the burgers? And that's why kind of the system is stacked the way it is, and that's why, my theory, why minimum wage has been stagnant for so long, because there is a such thing as wage inflation when you pay people too much, and that's the one of the main debates against giving people a higher minimum wage is that, if you give them a higher minimum wage, first of all, they're not going to work as hard, and second of all, we're going to have to raise prices because the supply is going to stay the same, but people are going to demand more. People are going to eat more. People who haven't, had shrimp and lobster, they're going to go out and buy shrimp and lobster just like they got their stimmies, and I'm not judging nobody. When people finally get a little bit of change in their pocket, they're going to go out and consume things. And we are a consumer economy. But what happens when the consumer economy isn't producing things and we are a service economy? What happens when nobody's providing, or not enough people are providing that service? That's how utopias fail. And that's why I woke up and chose violence this morning with that reply. It wasn't meant to, like I said, it's not, when I say choose violence, that's just an expression. If you've been on the internet, but it's not to really, and I was polite about it, and I'm not starting a war, but just using logic to think through, what's going on. And the question was about inflation, and we live in a world where our government creates policies to stop inflation, and one of those policies is keeping wages low, making sure that the government doesn't expand, hire too many people, and then now everybody's working and nobody is fighting over jobs. And fighting over jobs is good, because as long as people are fighting over jobs, but as long as you have unemployed people, you have a push and pull where there's supposed to be some type of wage increase, because now we have to go after the best candidates and we have to incentivize them. That's what happened now. They have to incentivize employees, and restaurants are giving $1,000 sign-on bonuses to incentivize workers to work. And they don't want, a 10-year-old with no work experience. They want an experienced fry cook or experienced line cook or experienced chef in their job. But what we see right now is that those experienced workers have moved on to other higher paying jobs, or they are getting training, or they just are sitting with a little bit of money in their pocket. I mean, that's what I did with some of my stimulus. I had to spend some of it, but I was very cautious to try and save some of it. And that's the problem with what's going on right now. We have too many people with too much money in their pockets. Nobody is barely borrowing. There are people paid off their debts. Student loans are suspended. So all of those mechanisms that you have to take money out of the economy, they aren't really working. And you have people who are buying things, and this is where I start to agree with the trade war, because now, we're buying things, and trade works. I never really believed in the trade war, because to say that a trade war, that somebody's cheating us because we buy more stuff from them, like, that's a fair. That sounds like a fair deal to me. If I go to Walmart and I give them my money and they give me shoes in return and they give me food in return, Walmart didn't cheat me because I have to go to Walmart to buy my stuff from them. Like, that was a trade. That's how trade works. It's give and take. But right now, we're not producing nothing. We don't have that many people working. There isn't that demand to bring our economic system full circle, and so we're just buying stuff from China right now. And it is give and take right now, but that's a lot of money leaving the country. That's a lot of supporting a lot of American companies who take their money out of the United States to hire workers, and that money doesn't filter back because they keep that money abroad, because for tax purposes, it's too expensive to move money back to America. You get hit with taxes, and then you get hit with exchange rates. You got to transfer money from a yuan, so I can't pronounce it, to the renminbi, a Chinese dollar. You got to transfer that into an American dollar, and you might lose some money in that exchange. So as a business, it's better for you to keep your money over there and just build another factory, hire more people, or do whatever. But they're not bringing that money back, and we're sending a whole bunch of money out, and we're getting stuff in return, but the money's not coming full circle, because even though these companies may be American companies, that money is staying in the country. They're paying other employees from other countries, and that's getting into a little messy situation. Like I said, overall, I don't believe in trade wars. I don't believe that trade can be unfair. I think that really the trade system for the American people is unfair because our companies are abroad, hiring people abroad, and that's the reason why we don't have jobs here. You can say they're cheap jobs, nobody wants the jobs, but that's still one less job for an American person. And that sounds a little nationalistic, but that money doesn't come back into America. So that's my beef with that, and that's why kind of right now, because of this pandemic situation, I believe in what was going on with the trade war now, but not back then. Back then, when everybody was working before COVID, it didn't make sense. But right now, we don't even have people working here. We don't have people generating an income. We have a whole bunch of free money slushing around. Look at the stock market. People are throwing their money in the stock market because the banks aren't paying any interest or anything. It's just right now, never ended cycle, and we don't even know if we're going to shut down again. So it's really crazy, and I just decided to, like I said, I chose violence, and I decided to talk trash. I decided to, flex drop some logic bombs, and flex my muscles, and show a little bit what I know, and really just get debate going, because that's really what I'm all about, is creating that conversation.